Hello, my name is Dr. John Postowait. I'm from the New Best Whiplash Injury Center. We did a cervical digital motion x-ray study on Nathan West on 9/30 of '08. The first view of a cervical DMX study is we look at the neutral lateral view. And I want to point out a couple of things. We first can see Nathan right here in a picture-in-picture camera, so we actually will be watching him move externally as we're looking internally with the x-ray. And with his cervical spine, he actually has a reversal of the traditional curve. His neck is curving forward instead of the traditional curve curving backwards all the way here. And if I could count down, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 cervical vertebrae. We're noticing there's an apex to this reversal between 5 and 6. So in other words, the neck is curving forward, the apex is at 5, 6, when instead it should have that nice arch going backwards. So we'll start the digital motion x-ray study, and Nathan will be asked to lift his chin up and down 3 times, and I'm going to go ahead and freeze it right there. And what we're looking at is the movement between the first vertebrae and the base of the skull here as it rocks up and down. So I'll go ahead and continue that. So he'll lift his chin up and down, and that's actually with a normal movement there. The third projection is going to be bending the head all the way down forward and then looking up towards the ceiling. We do this 3 times. There he goes for a second time all the way down, and second time back up, and now in the third time all the way down, I'm going to try to freeze it right there. And what we're looking at here is where C2 appears to have fallen forward on C3, and C3 on 4, and 4 on 5. This creates a stair-step effect. This is an indication that the posterior longitudinal ligament has been damaged or permanently injured, causing an instability of 2 on 3, 3 on 4, and 4 on 5. Next, we're going to have Nathan look up towards the ceiling. I'll try to freeze it right there. And we're looking at, our eyes are going to C4 on C5. So if I start here on 4 versus 5, we can see C4 has slid backwards, and that a big word for that is a retrolesthesis. That indicates there's injury to the anterior longitudinal ligament, causing an instability of C4 on C5. The next projection is the oblique projection, or the angle projection, where Nathan is turned at a 45-degree angle, and he's asked to bring his head all the way down and up towards the ceiling 3 times. On this particular view, we're looking at the right back side of his neck, or the right facets. I'll freeze it right there, and I'm going to count down. We're going to be counting down to 4 on 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got facet gapping of 4 on 5, 5 on 6, and 6 on 7. This tells us that there's injury to the capsular ligament. There's actually 5 of these ligaments on the right side of the neck, 5 on the left. These are 3 individual ligaments on the right back side of the neck, causing an instability. We'll continue, and we'll turn Nathan facing the opposite direction. If you watch the PIP picture, he's going to go ahead and turn facing the other way. And he will bring his head all the way down and all the way up, and he'll do this 3 times. Now we're looking at the left facet joints, or the left posterior capsular ligaments, and we'll go ahead and freeze them all the way down good. And I'm just going to draw a couple lines. So in other words, we got C3 3 on 4, 4 on 5, and 5 on 6. Actually, let me count down again. 4 on 5, 5 on 6, and 6 on 7. Indicating damage to those ligaments. Also on the left side, and in the report, the word is used bilateral. So there are 6 different capsular ligaments that have been injured, 3 on the right and 3 on the left in the back side of the neck. That's usually what causes that straightening or reversal of the cervical curve. Next, we'll go to the lateral bending view, which if you watch Nathan, he'll turn straight forward. He's going to bring his right ear to his right shoulder, his left ear to his left shoulder, and we'll go back to the right, and I'll freeze it. And as you can see, from the picture-in-picture, his head appears to be leaning to the right, but when we look inside with the x-ray, his spine is quite straight. So he's restricted going to the right versus the left, and you'll see this in 1 second when he continues to go back to the left side. He actually, and I'll freeze that. You can actually see this curve here. So he does have a bend to the left, where to the right it was restricted and it was straightened. The next projection is rotation. And we're going to ask Nathan to turn his head as far as he can to the right and far as he can to the left. And as he turns to the right and left, he'll do it a couple of times. I'll try to freeze it here all the way to the right there. We're actually looking at the angle, it's called, of the mandible right there. He actually went past the odontoid process, which means in this case he went further than normal, and that's impossible. There's a certain range to every joint, and if the joint bends too far, that means we've torn or damaged the ligaments that hold that area together. And now we're going to continue and watch him go back to the left side, and he goes beyond normal limits. I'll freeze it there. He goes even further on this side. His head goes way around, and it should have stopped right there. So that tells me he must have injured or damaged the upper cervical ligaments in his cervical spine, which we're going to see on the next view. It's called the open mouth, A to P open mouth lateral bending view. And here Nathan is going to lean all the way to the right. He'll bring his chin down, and I'll freeze it right there. And what we're looking at is C1 right here is actually hanging off the edge of C2. That's not normal. That tells me he's injured the alar and accessory ligaments. Now he's going to go back to the left side. So he's going to go all the way to the left, causing, there we go, freeze it. And right here again, even worse, going to the left, C1 is hanging off even further on C2. This is an instability caused to injury to the alar and accessory ligaments. We're going to go back to the right one more time. And as he brings his head down, we're going to try to freeze it right there. We're actually looking at what's called the paraodontoid space, and that is this space right there, that light space, versus this skinny light space right there. And that tells us he's injured another ligament called accessory ligament. That's not normal. Those spaces should be equal. And that completes the digital motion X-ray interpretation on Mr. Nathan. Thank you very much.